Hi, my name's Sonu Lamba, and today we're making pasta Puttanesca. So this pasta is made with red chili flakes, some garlic, capers, and kalamata olives. And I love this pasta because it's full of flavor and it's got some spice to it. I love the heat. Now, I love making this at home because I don't mind doing takeout Italian, but takeout Italian from a really high-end restaurant can get expensive. So I like to make pastas that are over $20 or $25 an entree. I like to make them at home. I recreate them because anytime I get it to go, it doesn't travel well, and then you never have that wow factor when it gets to your home. So in today's episode, we are making my favorite pasta puttanesca. So let's get started. First things first, we are gonna need several awesome ingredients. I highly recommend for this recipe that you use extra virgin olive oil. This is my favorite one right here. It's a Stonewall Kitchen, EVOO. Don't use virgin or just olive oil. You need to have that olive perfume in this dish. So EVOO. We're gonna use 6 large cloves of garlic. I have sliced this as thin as I can. Here it is, 6 cloves of garlic. Wonderful. I'm using a teaspoon of red chili flakes. Here's my teaspoon of red chili flakes. I'm using 3.5 tablespoons of capers. So capers are these salty little bites that we're gonna add to this recipe. They have salt in them. So we're gonna modify this recipe based on the salt from the capers and the kalamata olives. And finally, these are my kalamata olives. We're gonna use 3/4 of a cup. Here it is. The base of the flavor in this recipe are these 4 ingredients. So don't skimp out on the capers or the kalamata olives. Buy high-end capers and olives. My favorite product is Jeff's Garden. So Jeff's Garden is a wonderful product. I sourced this at my local PCC in Edmonds. And these should be pitted. Don't buy olives that have pits in them. They're gonna get in people's mouths and it won't be palatable at all. Now, the next brand that I also love is, again, Jeff's Garden, and then these are the capers. If you don't find this brand, this is another brand that I love. Here it is. It's called Mediterranean Organic. These are the capers. Really wonderful. Finally, we are gonna use some diced tomatoes. You can use whole tomatoes. My kids aren't big fans of whole tomatoes, so I use these diced tomatoes. Whatever you decide to use, make sure the first ingredient is tomatoes. Don't be fooled into buying, passatas and, tomato sauces where the number 1 ingredient is, tomato sauce or tomato paste. It should say tomatoes, because you need body in this dish. It needs to have its own, like a thick tomato mixture. And so sometimes pastes and spreads don't have that tomatoey flavor. So the tomatoes that I love are San Marzano tomatoes. San Marzano tomatoes are from a region of Italy called Campania. And these tomatoes are denser, they're fruitier, they have low acid content, and they break down wonderfully when they're cooked. So anywhere where you can find San Marzano tomatoes, buy them. There's lots of products out there. I will be featuring my favorite one. I don't have it here today. This is all I have in my pantry, so I'm gonna use this. But make sure you're buying high quality San Marzano tomatoes, either whole tomatoes or diced tomatoes. Great. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna need is 3 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. As you guys know, this thing will burn at a high temperature. So I'm gonna keep my heat on medium-low. Turn my stove on. Great. So I'm gonna add 3 to 4 tablespoons, and then in goes my garlic and my red chili flakes for about 2 minutes. There we go, that's about 4 tablespoons right there. Wonderful. Great. So I have my heat on medium low. I'm just gonna give it a minute, and then to that, I'm gonna go ahead and add my garlic and my red chili flakes. Any stringy long noodle will work for this dish. Spaghettis are great, linguines are great too. So whichever one you have on hand works wonderfully. I'm vegetarian, I don't do anchovies. Traditionally, in Italian restaurants, they'll add anchovies to it. I'm not adding it in this dish. Okay, so give it another 30 seconds, and then in will go my garlic. Now, if you really like this spicy, you can add more than a teaspoon of red chili flakes. I don't like mine too hot, so a teaspoon is more than enough. Okay, in goes my garlic, and you can hear that sizzle. Wonderful. So I want this just to brown up. I don't want my garlic to burn, so I'm careful to make sure my heat is again on the medium-low setting. Give this a mix. And I really want my garlic to perfume this Puttanesca sauce. Okay, and I'm gonna give this 30 seconds more, and then to that, I'm gonna add my chili flakes next. My family and I, we love eating Italian food outside. Restaurant food, good quality Italian restaurants. So during quarantine, I made an effort to learn some of my kids' favorite recipes, just so they wouldn't miss out. Okay, so 30 seconds are gone by. I'm gonna go ahead and add my red chili flakes. In they go. Wonderful. Okay, that's perfect. I'm gonna put my heat on low. That's as brown as I want on my garlic. That's perfect right there. You'll notice the olive oil start to get this orange golden hue. That is perfect. You see it right there. The red chili flakes are starting to break down, and you see this golden color. That's perfect. In goes my capers. In goes the kalamata olive. Wonderful. Give it a mix. This smells so fragrant. I can smell the garlic, I can smell the chili flakes, the olives and the capers. The kitchen has such a wonderful aroma. Definitely try this dish. Fantastic. Okay, that is great. So next, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take my diced tomatoes. You need a full can. So this is 28 ounces or a pound, and 12 ounces of diced tomatoes. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Now, if you cannot find San Marzano tomatoes, what do? Use Rao's marinara sauce. I know I talk a lot about Rao's. Rao's is a wonderful brand, and their tomatoes are perfectly sweet, and it's a very, very high-end product. Any marinara sauce will work. And if you're going to use marinara sauce, don't add any salt, because most marinara sauces have salt already added to them. Okay, so in go my diced tomatoes. Perfect. And what I love about these tomatoes are these little seeds. I love getting those little bites of seeds, you know, in my mouth when I'm eating pasta. It just tastes so much more authentic. And I'm gonna cook this down. So my heat right now is on medium. I don't need to worry about my olive oil getting burnt at this point, since my tomatoes have already gone in. And I'm gonna let this cook on medium heat for about 7-8 minutes. I'm also going to add, so these diced tomatoes are giving a wonderful body, but for a little bit of color, can't go wrong with pommy. So pommy is my most favorite tomato paste. It's concentrated, and the number one ingredient is organic tomatoes. So I highly recommend this product, pommy. You just need 2 tablespoons of it. It's really flavorful, it's got an awesome color, and I love it. And it's actually made in Italy too. So in goes my pommy. There's 1 tablespoon there, and there's another tablespoon right there. You just want to be careful. If you are going to be adding any type of tomato product, make sure the number one ingredient is tomatoes. Don't be fooled into buying something that's organic and they've listed, you know, something other than tomatoes as the first item. Just makes for a very authentic flavor. Okay, so this is going to cook down. I am going to add a little bit of pepper. Salt I'm going to add after I try it. So, take some of my fresh cracked pepper. Wonderful. Okay, and my lid is gonna go on, and now this is gonna cook for another 5 to 7 minutes. And I have it on medium-low right now. Okay, so next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my hot water, I'm gonna turn it on, and I'm gonna boil my noodles. Now, I love this brand of noodles. I get this from PCC. These are bronze cut linguine noodles, and I'm gonna cook this for 9 minutes. I love my pasta al dente. I don't like my noodles too soft. So, let's get that started. It's about 9 cups of hot water. In it goes. Now there's several different types of pasta pots you can use. I like to do it just this way. This is what I did when I was a kid, and so I don't use the pasta pots, but you can definitely buy one. They're a little bit more, my pot here is really wide. The pasta pots are more narrower, and they're like vertical, and so the noodles go in and they cook really nicely. And there's like a, you know, a little colander already built into it. That's really cool. Okay, I'm gonna take my noodles. Great. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. This is not extra virgin olive oil. I just don't want my pasta noodles to stick together, so I'm just using some virgin olive oil. Okay. So in go my noodles. There they are. Okay, and that's good. I've pretty much used like 80% of my noodles. I just want to make sure I have enough sauce for everything. So that looks great. I'm gonna wait for my noodles to wilt down into my pot, and when it does, I'm gonna put my lid on and just cook it for 9 minutes. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt just to lower the boiling point of my pasta. This will help to cook it a little bit faster. I'm just adding a little bit of salt because my sauce mixture has enough salt from the capers and the olives. Normally I would add probably a teaspoon in here for my noodles, but for this recipe I don't, because I don't want anything overly salted. You may notice some of these noodles were sticking out. As they start to wilt down, they're gonna go into the pot just fine. So if you don't have a fancy pasta pot, this is totally fine to do. Great. So as you can see, this is wonderful. Great. Okay, so now that the noodles have gone in, I'm gonna cook this for 9 minutes on high heat. It's been about 5 minutes. This looks wonderful. Okay, so, and this smells so fragrant. It smells spicy. I can smell the olives and the capers. Really wonderful. I'm gonna give this a stir. And this needs to reduce down probably another 30 to 40%. So I'm gonna let this keep on cooking. Looks great. And my heat for my sauce is on low. It's on the lowest setting because I just want it to kind of reduce down and I want the flavors to permeate those tomatoes. That's the point. My noodles have another, I think, 8 minutes. And then after that, we will assemble this and try it. Okay, so it's been 9 minutes. So I'm gonna take one of my noodles. I'm gonna just try a little bit and make sure it's perfectly al dente. And it has this awesome bite to it. This is perfect. As this continues to be put in my sauce, the heat from the sauce will cook it a little bit more. So if it's a little too firm for you guys, once it goes into the sauce, it will soften up. But definitely cook it according to the time that's on the package. Don't overcook it. Okay, now I'm gonna reserve some pasta water. This is my cup. I'm gonna take about 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of pasta water just to thin my sauce down if it needs it. There we go, that's about 1/2 a cup. I don't think I'm gonna need more than that. Okay, I'm gonna take my gloves. I am not gonna rinse this, I'm just draining it. So in order for the sauce to stick to the noodle has to be hot. So it's got, the way the noodle is cooked and all the starches from how it's cooked, the sauce will only absorb on it and stick to it if it is hot. Once you wash it all off, you're gonna remove some of the starches from the noodles and nothing will adhere to it. So definitely don't cool this or rinse the noodle out. You wanna make sure your noodle is still hot or warm. So I'm gonna take my pot, hold it carefully. I'm gonna come to the sink. So definitely join me. Okay, so here's my colander and here's my bowl. This is gonna go into my colander right here. And just like that, I am going to, wonderful. Okay. So I'm gonna rinse it just like, sorry, not rinse it. I am going to just try to get off all the moisture from the noodles. Here they are drained, perfect. Great. Okay. Okay, so next I'm gonna take my hot noodles, I'm gonna bring them over to my stove and I'm just gonna add them over my tomato mixture. So here it is. This is also cooked for about probably 9 to 11 minutes. You can see that the sauce here is kind of thick. It's kind of reduced down. I'm gonna put my noodles on top just like that. Wonderful. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my sauce and I'm gently just going to incorporate it in my noodles, just like that. And I think 28 ounces of sauce is perfect for about almost a pound of noodles. This will definitely feed probably 4 to 5 hungry souls. So I'm just incorporating it in. Okay, so as these noodles sit in the sauce, they're going to dry out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add 1/2 a cup of my pasta water, which is going to help maintain the sauce component. Okay, so there's my pasta water, in it goes. Wonderful. And I'm gonna give this a mix. And that is perfect. So this is a thick sauce. You'll taste the tomatoes, the garlic, and the chili peppers in the sauce. And it should look exactly like this. So when you serve it, you want to make sure you give a little bit of those tomatoes, which are kind of towards the side of the dish. That looks wonderful to me. Now, I sampled this sauce when it was cooking, and it had enough salt. It was perfect. So I actually didn't add any salt to my sauce whatsoever. The salt is from the olives and the capers. My noodles, I just put a little bit of salt while they were cooking to lower my boiling point. So they cooked a little bit quicker, and they reached a boil faster. But try your sauce. If you like it a little saltier, add a little bit. But for me, this is perfect. I love it like this. Great. So I'm gonna get my bowl so we can give this a try. Okay, so I'm gonna plate this. So this is pasta puttanesca, naturally vegan. I'm gonna serve this with no cheese. This is how I like to eat it. Okay. So I'm gonna take some of my noodles. Wonderful. Okay, now I'm gonna spoon some of the wonderful sauce components, the olives, those tomatoes, the capers, just on top, just like that. Now, one thing I wish I had is parsley. This dish needs parsley. So when you're making it at home, definitely buy Italian flat leaf parsley. I thought I bought it, but I actually bought cilantro yesterday for my Indian cooking, and I forgot to buy the flat leaf parsley. Buy the parsley, it adds for some wonderful color with those green capers, makes for a wonderful dish. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a try. This is so good. Definitely spicy, my kind of spicy. A teaspoon of red chili flakes is perfect. I love it. I love the tomatoes. The garlic has perfumed them so well. I love the olives, that salty bite, the tart capers. 10 out of 10. You have to make this at home. Definitely buy high quality chili flakes. Have this with wine. Make yourself an arugula salad with a lemon vinaigrette. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. Have an awesome week. Thank you.